Welcome to the Bird Podcast. I'm Shobha Narayan. About 6 months ago, a rock pigeon made a nest in my mother-in-law's balcony. This episode is about the ripple effects after that. One day, I returned after a long trip and visited my mother-in-law, who lives in a separate apartment in my building, to discover that a pigeon had laid 2 eggs on a chair that she uses to sit on her balcony. My mother-in-law, who is in her late 80s, was quite delighted with this development. She lives alone, and having a living creature inhabit her home gave her a lot of pleasure. The problem is that these feral pigeons, rock pigeons as they are called, are carriers of disease, which is why this is a controversial episode for me. In fact, I'm pretty sure that everybody I admire in the birding community disapproves of this, and my producer too would disapprove of this episode. Because you see, it is about pigeons, which birders call flying pests. But here's what happened, and so if you listen or watch this episode, advance apologies. Everyone in the household was quite agog with this pigeon's nest for a variety of reasons. The cook would lay out food for them, and my mother-in-law was delighted at the living creatures inhabiting her balcony. I was very nervous about them being carriers of disease. Pretty soon, the eggs hatched and 2 baby pigeons called squabs showed up. There is a reason why you don't see immature pigeons in the wild or outside in urban areas. It is because these pigeons spend a long time in the nest being taken care of, almost 4 to 5 weeks, so that by the time they fledge and leave, they are indistinguishable from their parents. Pigeons are both monogamous and very good parents. Both father and mother take turns to take care of the young, and they would go in and out of our balcony bringing the babies some food, notwithstanding the food left there for them by our cook. Meanwhile, I was getting more and more nervous. Everyone in the nature community that I consulted was quite categorical that I needed to move the pigeon's nest immediately. Move the chair out of the balcony because pigeons are carriers of zoonotic diseases, was the chorus of advice that I got. So I had a discussion with my mother-in-law. She was quite categorical that she would not move the nest. So we came to a compromise. We would close off the balcony during the time of the fledging, and we would watch the pigeons from the glass door. Meanwhile, the pigeons were caring for their young. Unlike many bird species, pigeons produce a milky substance from their crop, which is the bulge underneath their throat. This is called pigeon's milk and serves the same purpose as mother's milk does for human babies. It is a mixture of antioxidants and immune boosters, and both parents produce this. Both the male and the female produce this pigeon's milk and offer it to their young. While all this was going on, I was trying to research how long this ordeal would last. You see, I hate pigeons. In fact, most birders do. Pigeons are considered the number 1 pest bird problem in India, the United States, and around the world. The common name for this bird is rock pigeon or rock dove, a domestic pigeon. It belongs to the genus and species Columba livia, and it's a common sight in urban areas around the world. In fact, in India, the urban population of pigeons has quadrupled because they are extremely adaptable. They nest in city buildings and window ledges. They eat all kinds of food. And urban India has a problem where people think feeding pigeons is good karma, and so you have people in parks throwing wheat and barley to these pigeons. Escaped pigeons from breeders readily form new flocks, and therefore you have a variety of morphs. These pigeons have overrun my building and my balcony, and between them I can see the different shades of feral pigeons. True rock pigeons are pale grey with 2 white wing bars. So what you see here is actually a morph. The male and the female are fairly identical in terms of the sexes, except the female's pink iridescent plumage that you see around the neck is slightly less shiny. The male and the female nest maybe 5 times a year and produce a brood of 2 fledglings. The courtship ritual is usually when the male puffs up his neck and attracts the female. 15 days after birth, the squabs were growing rapidly Pretty soon they would look no different than their adult parents and they would take flight. One thing I'll say for pigeons, they are excellent flyers, and in fact, that's why they were domesticated in the first place. Homing pigeons carried material during wars and were known to come back to their original location. A month later, they looked like adults and they were ready to leave. So I decided to talk to my mother in law about what she thought about this whole incident.
And time. It was about 15 days that they were at the place, and they played with each other. They were two. They played with each other. They played with each other and even fought with each other. And now they've grown. Now they are in a hurry to become people who are following the earth, something like that, But they come back, they're a little scared still. They come back to the house, but there they want to have fun playing and this and that. They're two, they're not one.
And the mother?
And the mother, sometimes the mother is a little anxious because they are going hither and thither, as Malu would say. And but they're anxious not to go into the actual thing because they're not ready to leave the place. So that's how it is.
And what do they eat?
Well, I think they eat a lot of these things which, even the mothers bring some kind of either plates, not plates, some kind of
seeds and berries and
like that. They have a lot of it on their plate. So they are doing that kind of thing. And then when their mother comes, they are at her all the time. And they are waiting to see that she comes to them.
To feed. Thus ended the saga of the pigeons, and in the end, we simply cleaned out the balcony and got rid of them. We haven't seen them since. Bird Podcast is produced by Ullas Anand and Echo Edu. I'm Shobha Narayan. Thank you for watching and listening to this episode.